All right, let's get right into this incredible story out of Delhi. Investigators uncovered a plot that was so carefully planned, it felt like something straight out of a movie script. But as you're about to see, even the most detailed scripts can have some serious plot holes.
I mean, one report described this case as, and I quote, a crime that has blurred the line between obsession and horror. And honestly, that just hits the nail on the head. It's a truly chilling story about how what looked like a terrible, tragic accident, well, it was anything but.
So, our story really kicks off on the morning of October 6th. An emergency call comes in reporting a fire on the fourth floor of a building in Delhi's Gandhi VR. At first, it just seems like a straightforward, though awful, event. So, firefighters get to the scene and they manage the blaze pretty quickly. But once they get inside, they make a really grim discovery: a charred body. The initial thought from everyone is, what a terrible accident. Maybe a gas leak, an electrical fire, something like that. But as investigators started to look a little closer, that whole accident story began to fall apart. It became pretty clear that behind all that smoke and fire, a much darker, much more calculated story was hiding. This was no accident. It was a stage. And here are the main players in this awful story. On one side, you've got the victim, Ram Kashmina, a 32-year-old who is studying for his civil service exams. And on the other, the main accused, his 21-year-old live-in partner, Amrita Chauhan. And here's the twist, the part that makes this whole thing so unbelievable. She was a student of forensic science. The forensic teams got to work, and they figured it out fast. The cause of death wasn't the fire at all. Ram Kashmina had been strangled first. The fire was just a cover-up, a deliberate attempt to destroy all the evidence and create a completely false story. The irony here is just staggering. She was allegedly using the very kind of deception she was learning how to uncover. And the alleged script they followed? It's killingly simple. First, strangle the victim. Second, use ghee and alcohol, things that would accelerate a fire, to burn the body. Third, stage a gas cylinder blast to really sell the accident story. And the final touch? Lock the door from the outside to seal the whole scene. So you've got this plan that seems pretty well thought out, right? The perfect murder. How did it all unravel? Well, as calculated as it was, the script had holes, and the investigators were about to find every single one. This is what investigators are trained to do. They spotted things that just didn't add up. The condition of the body didn't really align with a typical fire victim. And then there were little things in the room itself, like the mesh on the gate. It was torn in a way that suggested someone was trying to fake it being locked from the inside. It's these small details that just screamed deception. And here's the thing about crime in the modern age. You can try to stage a physical crime scene, but you can't control your digital footprint. And the key that cracked this whole case wide open? It came from local CCTV cameras. The CCTV footage laid out a timeline that was absolutely damning. At 2:20 in the morning, two people with their faces covered go into the building. Just about 37 minutes later, at 2:57 a.m., you see Amrita and an accomplice walking out. And then, just a few minutes after that, the building is on fire. That kind of video evidence is just impossible to argue with. And to make the case even stronger, police layered that with more evidence. They pulled Amrita's mobile phone records, and wouldn't you know it, the data placed her right there, near the scene of the crime on the night it happened. The digital trail was now undeniable, and it completely contradicted any alibi she might have tried to create. So at this point, the how is pretty much established. But that just leads to the biggest question of all, doesn't it? Why? What on earth could possibly motivate a crime this brutal and this deceptive? Well, according to the police, it all came down to revenge. Ram Kashmina, the victim, allegedly had obscene pictures and videos of Amrita, and that seems to have been the trigger for this whole horrific plot, a deeply personal conflict that allegedly escalated into murder. And she didn't do it alone. The investigation revealed that she allegedly got help from two other people, and one of them was her ex-boyfriend. This completely changed things. It wasn't just a singular act. It was a coordinated conspiracy. So with all this evidence mounting, the CCTV, the phone data, a clear motive, the case started moving very, very quickly toward its end.
It was really like watching dominoes fall, one right after the other.
And look how fast it happened. On October 18th, just 12 days after the crime, Amrita was arrested. 3 days later, on the 21st, they had her ex-boyfriend in custody. And just 2 days after that, on the 23rd, the third accomplice was picked up. The entire alleged conspiracy was taken down in less than a week. Faced with that mountain of evidence, there was really nowhere to go. All three individuals reportedly confessed to their parts in the crime, bringing the investigation to a close. The perfect murder had been totally and completely exposed. And that brings us to the central, chilling irony of this whole thing. The main accused was a student of forensic science. She was reportedly a fan of crime shows, studying the very methods used to solve these cases. So it leaves you with this one final question. Did her knowledge of how to commit the perfect crime give her a false sense of confidence that ultimately became her own undoing?